Hi, everyone, and welcome to tonight's presentation. Plant-Powered Metro New York is happy to bring you an informative session with leading wellness experts. As a New York-based nonprofit, we are dedicated to your health and empowerment, providing evidence-based nutrition, education, and support for meaningful and sustainable lifestyle change. I'm Karla Salinari, your host tonight. I'm also a Plant-Powered Metro New York medical advisor. I'm a certified holistic health coach, nutrition educator, author, and speaker, and I specialize in elevating a plant-based lifestyle. I use a highly individualized approach that encourages transformative, long-lasting habits in my practice as a member of a clinic based in Houston and under a private practice as well. My Instagram account, The Latina Health Coach, inspires people from in and outside of our community to reconnect with their favorite cultural dishes using a healthier, plant-based approach. Today is a very special night. We have a 30-minute presentation by Danielle Medina, followed by a 10-minute Q&A. So please put your questions in the comments section here on the presentation, and we'll get to as many questions as we can after Danielle's presentation. Our guest tonight is Danielle Medina, founder of Fit and Play Mama, a certified fitness and yogurt expert. She's also a culinary expert and a nutritionist. She is a Food for Life instructor and empowers adults and children with practical classes, fitness routine, and simple evidence-based meal planning for lifelong wellness. Danielle is a popular plant-powered Metro New York instructor and volunteer as well. And we are so excited to introduce her to our community. Welcome, Danielle. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Karla. It's so great to be here.
It's my pleasure.
All right. Well, I thank you so much for the intro. I'm really excited to get started. And yes, I'm really happy to be a part of Plant-Powered Metro New York. It's really changed my lifestyle and everything that I've learned. I learned a lot through them. So it's really great. And I have been with them since 2021. And I have to say, it really has helped me, my family, and also when I'm training my clients, it's just something that I really am able to learn a lot from them. So I'm going to start with sharing my screen. Okay, and then tonight it's all about spring cleaning. And when we think of spring cleaning, we think about cleaning out our houses and cleaning, decluttering, right? So you want to declutter all of the things that are in your house because we really want to have a fresh new start, especially the weather is looking nice and we really want to be able to do that. But we're also going to talk about decluttering your plate and decluttering your mind, which is very simple practice on how to bring more plant-based food into your diet, meal planning, and how to be more mindful and live a more healthier and more balanced life. Okay. And let's see. So Karla did go over a little bit about my background. So I have a bachelor's degree in food science and nutrition, also a certified fitness and yoga instructor, and a NASM certified corrective exercise specialist, which kind of just helps people to be able to have more proper posture and to be able to move in a more effective way. A Food for Life instructor from the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, where we teach lots of culinary skills and really get people more familiar on how to incorporate more plant-based meals into their diet. And I am also certified in the plant-based nutrition from the T. Colin Campbell Center for Nutrition Studies from Cornell. And for Fit and Play Mama, which is my business, it's really about bringing and empowering individuals and families to lead healthier and more fulfilling lives. And I do this by engaging programs and really bringing that mindfulness in full circle with food, fitness, and mindfulness. So what does decluttering your plate and mind actually mean? Well, first we want to think about what are the habits that we are currently doing and how can we change that by literally changing the mindset on how we think about it, right? So it's a very complex issue, but we could also make it very simple in how we actually approach it and how do we think about this. So for example, when we focus on our plate, right, we want to make sure that we are adding more foods that look like whole food, plant-based, and foods that are more processed. So if you look on the left side of the screen, these are more processed foods and they're more inflammatory foods. So we really want to think about how do we bring those foods a little bit further away from our plate and add more of the plant-based foods. So small habits, right? We want to change this, be very mindful on how we're going to change this and create less stress around it, because that's not something that we want to do, or we want to prevent that. So these are ways on how to just make it more joyful to do and how you're going to really increase your energy and clarity and joy. So the key takeaways for today, you're going to leave with learning how to reduce processed foods. And I know before I became a plant-based culinary educator, it could be a struggle, right? Fast food is very convenient. So I understand how that is, and especially having a daughter and, raising her and being able to bring that into our lives. So we will definitely go over some tips on that. The next thing is about tips for simple, sustainable meal planning, so it doesn't feel overwhelming. And again, I understand we all have so many things that we have to do within the day. And so we want to make sure that it's not overwhelming for you. And then the last thing is beginner mindfulness techniques to ease the mental clutter. And you want to think about what are some of the things that are making you kind of stopping you from going forward. And we can definitely share some tips on that with you. So why reduce processed foods, right? Because everybody, a lot of family members, they'll say oh, this, try this, it's so easy. But the thing that we want to really focus on is that processed foods cause inflammation, fatigue, and weight gain. And these are things like when you're having inflammatory foods, it can trigger different things in your body, and like chronic diseases, like diabetes and heart disease. And so we want to try to reduce that. And what we want to try to do is replace them with the whole foods. And this is going to bring a lot more energy. Your mood is going to change. You're going to really feel a whole lot better. It's going to boost you to feel more energized. And then the long-term effects is that it actually is going to help, if not reverse a lot of the things that you're feeling, right, with health, but actually make you feel like you are feeling whole again, right? Because that's really what we want to do when we are changing lifestyle habits. Okay, so the next thing is we're going to talk about how to reduce the processed foods. So tip number 1 is to start small. And that means we want to replace at least one processed snack a day with a whole food. For example, right, if you look at these two pictures right here, if you like potato chips, and for me, like potato chips really represent something that's crunchy, right, salty, and can give you that satisfaction, right, of that crunchy feeling. Well, why not try, say, celery stick or even some carrots, or peppers, and you can definitely still get that crunchiness. And the great thing about these foods is that they naturally have salt in it, but not too much, right? We're really trying to be very conscious of how much salt we're getting in our diet. And so this is one way of doing it. Another way is grabbing an apple apples also have that crunchiness to it, and they are naturally sweet. So you can have something like that, or even a handful of, say, like almonds, which again have the texture might help satisfy the replacement of something like a potato chip. So that is one way we can look at it in a way that's going to be pretty easy to do. You want to make sure you cut them up, right? Like how it is on this plate, because that's going to be your way of transitioning so that food is already available and we don't have to cut it up each time. So it's want to make sure that it's kind of ready to be eaten. And this is another way. Tip 2 is we're going to start to shop around the perimeter of the grocery store. So that is where all the fresh produce is. You're going to find lots of colorful foods, and that is really where the bulk of your shopping cart is going to have, right? Now, on the inside of the grocery store, you're going to have a lot more packaged foods, a lot more ingredients, right? So when you do go to the inside of the grocery store, you want to make sure that you read some of those labels. And my kind of guide is that if it has more than, like, say 4 or 5 ingredients in it, then it may not be the best thing for you, right? So you want to make sure that you can read, that you know exactly what is in it, right? And if there's an ingredient in it that you're not quite sure what's in it, may want to try to find an alternative. And there are a lot of choices now in grocery stores, and they really are trying to improve the quality, but you just really still need to look at the food label, because there's just like a lot of extra things that they put in there to make you buy them. And then the next tip is you want to cook more at home and be more in control of what goes into your meals. Home cooked meals equal you're in control of the salt, sugar, and fat that's in your diet. And you want to start simple, right? So with simple recipes, for example, say you have a stir-fry dish, right? And you could just make a lot of vegetables in there. You can do a lot of different veggies. You could do tofu. You could put beans in there. So it's really a nice, easy way of making a big meal. You could do one pot soups or stews, or you could just do a grain bowl and then put in your grains, maybe some beans and some of your veggies in there, and you're going to have a really nice meal. So that's another way of trying to be more in control of like what's going on your plate. Now, here is another way of reducing processed foods. You want to prep your fruits and your vegetables and just make sure they are ready to go. Maybe put them into Tupperware so that you don't even have to think about it, right? They're already in your refrigerator, and it's just easy for you or your kids to just like grab and leave the house with. Batch cooking is another great way of being able to have meals prepped and then not having to think about cooking every single day. I love being in the kitchen, and some of you might as well, but some people don't. And that's okay, because doing big batch cooking is going to be your savior in making food that's going to last for at least for the week. And what you do is you take Tupperware that you're going to place into your refrigerator, and then the rest can go up into the freezer. And when you're ready, you could take it down and start to and just heat that food up. And then, as I was saying before, make sure to read those labels. So fewer ingredients is best. And if you can get the whole food, which is really the best way, the most nutrients are in the whole foods. But if you need to go for those packaged foods, just make sure that you are reading those labels. And here's just a recap again, just so that we can just kind of process it again. Like why are we doing this? Well, we want to make sure that we are feeling energized and improving our digestion, clear thinking, and long-term wellness. And just backing up a little bit. So for me, and the reason why I decided in 2021 to go completely plant-based is because I actually was suffering from a lot of the things that are here, which was I didn't have as much energy as I felt. My digestion, I had a lot of gastrointestinal issues that I was dealing with. And so I was trying to figure out like how to solve these issues. And I knew food was really a part of it. And then I just felt overall just better after I started eating this way. And so I really, when I'm with my clients and trying to like help them find like really easy ways to do this, I really kind of go back to like a lot of the things that helped me through the process. Okay, so why simplify meal planning, right? And so here are a few things that you're going to achieve when you're doing this. One, you're going to definitely save time. And we all know we're so busy. There's so many things going on in our lives, whether we're taking care of our kids, whether we're working our jobs, and just living life, right? There's a lot that is on our plate, but we want to just think about how we can save time and reduce stress as we're doing this. And this will help us to stick with eating healthy. That's something that's going to keep you consistent. You're going to be able to take out all of the complications of it, because now you're going to say, okay, this is what we're going to do during the week. And you just repeat it. It's a system. I love systems. I love to know kind of what's going to happen ahead of time. And for people who are like that as well, it's really good to, keep you on track. And for people who are not so great at like meal planning or just like planning it out, just grab like a simple piece of paper and just write some of the meals that you really enjoy, or maybe look them up on the internet. There's plenty of books out there. Flip through them, find a recipe that is really something that you think you're going to really enjoy, and stick with that. So tip number one for doing this is you want to find a weekly theme, right? Make it fun. This is all about enjoyment, right? And I love to bring play into into this, like when I'm with my daughter. Let's say, hey, like, what are we going to do on Monday? Okay, let's do meatless Monday, or let's do Taco Tuesday, or Stir Fry Friday, right? There's just so many ways, like you can be very creative. And I think that it's really fun when the kids get involved as well. If you have children or grandchildren, nieces or nephews, they really enjoy the process with you. So don't think of it as a solo thing, right? If you are even with friends, right? If you are having dinner with friends and you're like, I really need some help with just like setting a weekly theme, they may be even interested as well to like help you out. And it gets really fun, very creative. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? Because you can even look online and you can see, oh, these are some of the themes for the week. Really just keep it really fun and just really simple. And that's going to really help you to keep this going as the week is happening. And I love equations. So this is another really cool thing that I think really helps with people when they're trying to kind of figure out, like, how do I get this all and like really kind of bring this all together. So just think of it like add a healthy carb, right? So here I have farro, right? So here's your farro. You could pick any whole grain, right? If you want to do oats, if you want to do quinoa or brown rice, that will be your healthy carb, right? So your complex carb, which is filled with lots of, it has lots of nutrients. It has lots of vitamins and minerals, lots of vitamin B vitamins. So you're going to definitely do well with whatever grain you're going to choose there. Then you're going to add a veggie. Veggies can be anything from whether you want to do carrots or if you want to do zucchini, whatever it is, just think of that, right? So there's your veggie, and then you're going to add so you're going to add something else, which is a protein. For me, it's beans. Hands down, those are the best things for me to add to whether I'm doing a Buddha bowl or a soup or anything like that, even pasta. I'd love to put beans in my pasta because I know that these are rich in protein, and there's so many different types of beans that you can choose. I just went to the grocery store today and I saw the cannellini beans and the Great Northern beans, and I just love like being able to try different beans. I actually made a dish that we went to a Lebanese restaurant. No, it was a Yemen restaurant and we had, it was called Fool, and it was made out of fava beans. And it was so delicious that I went to the grocery store and bought the fava beans. I made it, and I was just so happy to be able to like try these different recipes. And that's the other thing too. It's like you go out and if you try different things that you may not be used to. So that would be your balanced meal, right? So healthy, complex carb, veggie, protein, and then you have a really delicious meal. Okay, now tip number 3 is keep a list of your go-to meals and enjoy them in rotation. So like we were saying, if you love stir fries, those to me are super easy to make. Make sure that's on your list. Grain bowls, I mean, we have grain bowls like every single day, right? So that's definitely something. And salads are so good. You can put lots of things in salads, especially now that spring's around. You have like all these like fresh herbs that are like coming out. So grab your fresh herbs, I love putting beans again in my salad for like, just to make me feel like I'm eating a whole lot more, because when you do eat a salad, right, the leafy greens are so high in nutrients, but they're very low in calories, right? So definitely you want to do that same combination if you can, right? So that like some sort of complex carb, veggie, and your protein into that salad, and you're going to be really, really happy with that. And then we have some little go-to apps, right? So thinking about, okay, well, if I can't think about this on my own, right, I really need some apps to help me out, right? And so there are plenty of apps out there. I do like the one that's Forks Over Knives. And that one is, I think they have a free version and then they have a paid version. So you can definitely use the free version if you want to just try it out. And it really does like give you that meal planning option. And then it tells you like, okay, then you could switch it up. That might be a really great option for you. Or there's others that are Yumly and Meal Lime. Those are other types of apps. Or you can find templates that, are online that you can just write in, and you just want to be flexible with it. So don't worry if it's not all working out at once. Give it time, because you want to be consistent with this and you want to have less stress all over, right? So you don't want to have to think about it. So just really try to just take it easy when you're starting. Be very flexible and don't aim for perfection. Okay, now let's talk about how we're going to look into our refrigerator and how we're going to really like organize it in a way that is going to be simple for us. So you want to spend less time worrying about your food. You want to make sure that it's healthy, that whatever you're buying is balanced, and you can really, it's versatile, right? So you can put it into lots of different recipes. And we want to try to really reduce food waste. Like for me in the beginning, I'd buy all these greens and I'd buy all these different types of vegetables. And then it was so crowded, I couldn't see what I had in my refrigerator. So then what would happen was I would have to get rid of a lot of the food because it would go bad. So actually I buy a little less now, because now I can see what is in my refrigerator. And now I know, okay, these are the things that I have. Let me use them up. So anything that you know is going to go bad, try to keep that closer to the front of your refrigerator, because you're going to know when you open it up, you're going to have to use it pretty soon. Now here is our part about mindfulness. And this is really something that I love to teach my clients about. It just really helps us to reduce that mental clutter and really increases our focus and promotes well-being. So instead of when you're thinking about all the things that we have to do, all of our tasks that need to be done, it's good to just kind of start simple. And whether it's you're going to write it on a piece of paper or on your phone, we really want to just start as simple as possible. So the first thing I like to talk about is the breathing technique. And it's just a mindful breathing. I usually like to start it at the beginning of the day, which means that it's a 5-minute breath work. And you inhale for, say, 4 counts or 3, depending on whatever feels comfortable for you, right? We don't want you to feel like you're holding your breath or like trying to force it. It's not about that. It's really about just going nice and slow, taking it easy, letting the oxygen go in through the nose. And then when you breathe out, you're breathing out through the mouth. Okay. And we'll be doing this in a moment, but I want to just go over just a few more tips. And so tip number 2 is about mindful eating. Now, this is something that sometimes we don't even realize, like how fast we're eating, right? Because we have to get to our meeting, or we have to go pick up our child. So what we want to try to do is think about when is a good time for us to eat, so that we have enough time to slow down, to savor those bites, because it's really important to chew our food, right? And we want to make sure that we are really relaxed while we're eating, because there's a lot of things happening in our bodies, and we want to make sure that all of our energy is going to digesting the food. So thinking about just slowing down a little bit as we're eating is a really great way to enjoy your food. Enjoy, now that you're changing your food, changing up the habits of and having less processed food and more whole foods. This is really a great way to savor each bite. Tip number 3 is ending the day with a gratitude journaling. And so for me, it's either the beginning of the day or it's the end of the day. And you could choose one, or you could do both. And it's about starting the day or ending the day with just whatever's in your body or whatever's happening in your brain. You write it down, you let it go, you release it, you don't hold on to it. Let your hand go writing on the paper, and then that's it. You don't have to kind of like just almost like giving it away, right? Because we don't want to hold that with us, like any kind of stress, especially when starting or ending the day. Things will happen in between, but as long as we kind of like cleanse ourselves at the end, it's a really great way to keep them being mindful. Okay, now we're going to do our mindfulness breathing here. So if you're seated, and if you notice, just kind of check your posture for a moment. If you're slouching a little bit, you just want to sit up nice and tall. Think of the spine really growing up and out through the crown of your head. You can place your feet on the floor and try to keep all 4 corners of your feet pressing into the floor. Your hands are going to rest on your lap, and you can close your eyes for a moment. And we're going to take a deep breath in through the nose and exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And then you can open up your eyes if they were closed. And just notice, just by doing that, 3 breaths, right? Just taking time to do that, it may really change the way that you're feeling, right? And I know, again, being very busy, being a busy mom, I need those breaths throughout the day. So for me, I do really practice this. I try to make this a thing that I incorporate through my daily life. So I hope that that helps you as well. And again, just to recap what we went through, it's to reduce the stress, increase clarity, and just better overall mental health. Now, the results that you can expect is just clearer thinking. You really start to feel like, wow, now I'm like, all these ideas are coming up, and you really are feeling very creative and when you incorporate all of this, it really does make a difference. Improved energy, definitely, that's something that I've felt. I was just running with my daughter yesterday at a 5K. We walked some of it, we ran some of it, we walked some of it, we ran some of it. But I have to say, like, afterwards, I still felt great. I didn't feel tired. My legs are a little sore, but overall, feel really great. And I know it's because of all of the things that I'm doing with the practicing of just being more mindful, eating more whole food, plant-based foods, and it's just really a really great feeling. And then that helps in return, it helps you to reduce your stress, and you're really building healthier habits. Just having a more simplified diet is also really important because, you know, we really want to be able to have the foods that look like they do in nature. It just is really nice. You know, the colors are really attractive, especially, like I said, now lots of spring is here. So there's a lot more foods coming out in the farmer's market. So it's really great to have, like, you're eating the rainbow. And then just finding more mindful moments throughout the day is something that's really important for us to practice in our daily lives. And I hope that that's something that you can incorporate as well, whether it's the gratitude journaling or just breathing and just doing mindful eating. It takes one step at a time. Maybe just choose one and see how you do that throughout the week, and just make a note of it. All right, so ready to declutter your plate and your mind? Well, let's start small, right? One step at a time. Make sure that you have a clear goal, because that's the best thing. If you have your clear goal, you will definitely succeed in that because you know what it is. And find support. I'm here to help. Plant Powered Metro New York is here to help. Karla's here to help. We want you to join any program, right? You can book a consultation with me. And I actually, for whoever signed up for today's webinar, did receive a handout on all of the tips that I went through today. And just get started. And because you are here tonight, I am offering a 10% off of the service, any of my services. And all you need to do is just put the promo code of PPMNY in it. Just let me know that you were here and you listened to it. And maybe just tell me what your feedback is and what are some of the things that you do to really help yourself feel more mindful and ready to explore and feel really good and creative as you're leading through your life. So thank you for joining me. And that is the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Danielle. That was so fantastic and so helpful. I know I can definitely relate to a lot of things that you were talking about as a busy mom, incorporating these lifestyle changes. And not only that, but also helping the community to do that as well in a way that doesn't feel like it's too overwhelming, in a way that it doesn't feel like, it causes anxiety more than it needs to, because really it doesn't. Starting small and just, making simple swaps, like you said, is just so helpful. We wanted to just go over some of the questions that our community members have added in the chat box. There's people from all over: Naples, Florida; Brooklyn, New York. I'm in Brooklyn too; Chicago, south suburbs, Astoria. So we have people that are from all over. And some of the questions that we got is, what do you do when you're the only one in your house that is incorporating this lifestyle? I'm sure you get this question asked a lot too. And, and feel like you have to make a bunch of meals, right? Like, what are some recommendations? Because I feel like this lifestyle can start with us, or maybe it can start with one person, but then slowly it starts to create a ripple effect of change, right? When, the partners and the kids and the aunts and uncles and the neighbors start to catch on, everybody's very curious. They want to know what you're doing, but it could feel overwhelming if you're the only person in the house that is implementing changes. What do you recommend for someone that would come to you and ask for tips for that?
Yeah, well, I would say start with just the food that everybody loves. And I would say okay, let's pick our favorite vegetable. What's our favorite grain? Whatever it is, right? And then build on that. So if, for example, if your family loves sweet potatoes, then I would say, especially if there's different people in the household that are eating differently, let's all just make a really good sweet potato dish that everybody can eat, right? And then from there, you start to build on that. So now we know, okay, everybody can have the sweet potatoes. Or if there's a certain type of dessert that, you like, brownies, for example, right? Let's just say everybody's like, I want to have some brownies. Yeah. Well, there's just so many. I mean, I love black bean brownies. I think they're just, oh my God. Those are, and I've made them for people who, are not eating the way that I'm eating. Yeah. And they have no idea that there's black beans in there. So I think it's just find a recipe that's more plant-based, right? So you start with remember that formula, right? That's the complex carb, whatever vegetable, maybe there's that plant-based protein, then build from there, because then it's you're not necessarily taking away from any of the people who are whatever they're eating, but you're adding on to that. And then make it a really fun challenge. Hey, can we find something that we all really enjoy? That's we can use these ingredients. Let's try to kind of figure it out. It's all I feel game based. If you kind of bring fun to food, because food can be very emotional. Food can be well, I ate this way because this is how my grandmother made this food. And this is how, so, you really want to be mindful of how you're approaching when you're changing your own diet, and then there other people around you are not necessarily on board, but you want to make them feel you're including them in that.
Sure. Yeah, I love that response. I would also like to suggest pasta dishes. Pasta dishes are really simple, and everybody loves a good pasta dish. And maybe as a way of including other members of the house that might not be on board, you can say hey, what vegetable do you want to include in the pasta? And then everybody kind of has a say in the types of vegetables. And then it could be an inclusive thing. Getting people involved is always going to be really fun. Maybe carving out a menu one day out of the weekend that everybody can contribute to, some idea or something like that. I think those are great tips. Yeah. Okay. Another question here. Should we prioritize organically grown fruits and vegetables? Danielle, what do you say to that?
So there's the dirty dozen, right? Where we know that you want to try to buy organic as much as possible when you're, especially with the berries, right? Because they have a thin layer of skin. But here's the thing. I just went to the grocery store and strawberries were almost $10. It's just that's crazy. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. One, you could buy just the regular strawberries and do a nice, really good clean with them. Like you have it's vinegar, water mix, and you just kind of like do, 1 part water, 1 part vinegar, and you just like kind of mix it, and that should be fine. Or you can do frozen. Frozen is really great as well when you don't have to always pick fresh, and there's a lot of vegetables and fruits that you actually don't have to buy that are organic, right? Especially when they have the thick skins, like you don't have to do that. You want to make sure like you're being savvy with how you're spending your money when you are shopping, and it can get very expensive, and you don't want to like be able to, do that. So you want to make sure that if you are buying conventional produce, just really clean it really well. And then, the thing is we want people to eat tons of fruits and vegetables and all of that because it's much better, right? It's really good for our health. So you don't want to deter them to like just not eating it at all if they can't buy organic. No, definitely just eat, just still eat your fruits and vegetables.
I love that response. I share that response with a lot of people as well,
Yeah.
because I feel like sometimes people might think like, oh, well, if I can't afford organic, then I'm just going to go back to what I know. And really, it's going to be better if you buy it and then you wash it at home. Also, eating seasonally can also be more budget friendly. So if it's not in season, try to look for something that is in season. And that can also make things a little bit more fun and creative, right? Like maybe you're working with a fruit or a vegetable you never worked with before. And, now you're inspired to make it. So those are really great tips, Danielle. Thank you so much. Let's see if anybody has any other questions. All right. I think that is it for our questions. Thank you so much, Danielle. This has been such great and valuable information about building healthy habits and making room for healthy foods and more energy. To see more from Danielle, you can sign up for her monthly newsletter at www.fitandplaymama.com, or you can find her on her popular Instagram at fitandplaymama. You can also follow me for more cultural recipes and inspiration. I tend to share lots more Latin-inspired dishes, and you can find those. They're all plant-based, of course, on my social, which is The Latina Health Coach, or on my website, www.karlasalinari.com. You can also find the recording to this program and many other programs brought to you by Plant Powered Metro New York on their YouTube channel. You can subscribe to their YouTube channel as well as get notices as to when they're going to go live. And you can go on the YouTube channel. A special thanks to Plant Power Metro New York's members, Grace and Jim, for supporting our live stream and always being behind the scenes and being so amazing and helping us bring to you guys this programming. Thank you very much. You can also visit the website for more information on Plant Powered Metro New York and upcoming events and social events at www.plantpoweredmetronewyork.org. That is .org. And also, please consider making a donation to support Plant Powered Metro New York's mission. Every bit helps, and the more communities we're able to reach, the more nutrition programs that we're able to produce for everyone, and the more we're able to make an impact. So from all of us at the studio, we hope to see you at the next programming. Thank you so much for joining. It's been so much fun. I was your host, Karla Salinari, and this is Danielle Medina. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope everyone has a wonderful night.
Good night.